Hi everyone, it's Wes here, back with another video. On today's video, I thought I'd quickly share tips that can work for you guys to be able to graduate with a distinction. If you're doing your master's here in the UK, I was able to graduate with a distinction, and I was like, you know what, why not share the tips? Now, let me quickly say this to say these tips may not work for everyone because our approaches to school are different strokes for different folks or different things for different people. So I'll still share these in case they help some of you. So the first point is understand the assessment methods. Now, when you're coming from undergrad, one of the things that you have to understand is the assessment methods may be a little bit different. So you may be used to say, we'll go to class, we'll do assignments, and then write exams at the end of the semester or at the end of the term. Now you come to do your masters, and now they're telling you, you know what? Yes, we'll do exams, but we'll also do presentations, or maybe we'll just assess you through an essay. So you should work towards understanding how you'll be assessed. Now, once you understand how you'll be assessed, work towards getting good at that. So if it is essays, make sure you get good at writing essays. If it is presentations, make sure you get good at presenting. So simply, that's it. Now, point number 2 is ask the right questions. Now, when you're in class and you haven't understood something that was taught, raise up your hand quickly and say, you know what, I did not understand what you said, or what do you mean by this? Because let me be honest to say, sometimes we don't ask questions. Maybe we're afraid to say, oh, maybe everyone will think I didn't know this. But let me tell you, sometimes many people in the class don't know about the thing up until you ask it as well. So just gain some confidence and some courage and be able to ask the question. I've also learned that one of the easiest way for us to learn is through asking the right questions. Because when you ask the right questions, likely you get the right answers most of the times. But also, the one who is answering the question that you asked will answer it in the frame that you asked it. So just make sure that you ask the right questions. And trust me, if you ask a question and then you get an answer, you'll never forget that answer, because that was something that was internal, and then you will understand it to say, okay, this was my question. And let's say during exams, they ask you a question that is around the question that you asked during term time. Trust me, you'll be able to remember it, even if you haven't read, because you'll be like, you know what, I remember I asked something about this, and then this was the answer. Point number 3, which is also very important, time management. So when you come to do your master's here in the UK, I mean, unless you're on time scholarship, but most of the times you also have to do some work just for you to sustain yourself in terms of food, transportation, and things like those. So this point is very important to say, make sure you're good at time management, because what you have to do is you have to make sure that you have like proper schedules in terms of when you do classwork and when you do your work, and then when you also do other leisure activities. So I would say this is a little bit more of like case to case basis, because I mean, will be different in terms of the works, the jobs that we get. So I would simply say, just get good at time management skills. Just get good at setting priorities right, in terms of like, okay, this is the time for me to study. This is the time for me to do this. So just get good at that. So for me, I was working 20 hours per week, and I was also doing school. So I just made sure that the days that I went to work, I wasn't doing any school work. Even when I come back from work, I was simply resting, and then I think kind of I was simply resting and then go to bed. And then when it's school day, it's when I was like fully active into school mode. Yeah. So I would simply say, get good at time management skills. Now, point number 4, which has worked for me, is breaking down complex concepts into simple, understandable language. So this one is kind of different for different people in how they may go about it. But I think one thing that I find that works out for me is using an example. So whenever there's a certain concept that has been explained in class, I always try to find an example that runs parallel to the concept, just for me to be able to understand it. So if you can be able to do this as well, I think it helps. Whenever something is explained and then you can't get it, ask for an example, to say, okay, sir, can you give us an example for that? And you run with the example. That will help you to understand the concept itself. The other simple way is to just try to use diagrams. I do that sometimes. When something is being explained, I just try to connect dots to say, okay, if this is this and then this is this, works with this, kind of like that. So if you can be able to do that, I mean, that also helps. Now, point number 5, which is also very important, is take short notes. So on this one is just a matter of how you choose to do it, because this one is a little bit tricky, because you're trying to understand what the lecture is saying, and you're also trying to take notes. So if you're not careful enough, you may also miss some other notes, because you may also miss some other things that the lecture is saying, because you're busy taking notes. So this one is a matter of timing. if the lecturer says something that has grabbed your attention and you're like, okay, this is a good point, quickly write that down and make sure that you write it in your own language, in your own understanding. Because let me tell you the truth, if you guys were to see my short notes, you wouldn't understand anything, because you'd be like, what's this? But at least myself, I do understand it. So that can also work for you, to say whenever the lecturer is giving notes, just make sure you get some notes, and then you can be able to revise it like soon after the class and be able to see whatever was taught during that day. Point number 6, which is also the last one, I'll simply say, yeah, teamwork makes the dream work, as they say. So I'll simply say, make sure you find a couple of friends that you guys will keep each other accountable in terms of school. For me, it was a little bit much easier because I was doing school together with my brother. He was also doing his master's. I was doing my master's. So like we used to push each other, like, you know what, it's time for studies, let's go for studies and everything. So just make sure you find someone that you can be able to keep each other accountable, and then I think that will help. So guys, these are just simple tips. They seem obvious, but I'm pretty sure they can be able to help. So I hope you guys find this helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.